We're sitting at the start line for the Valley of the Sun Category 3 crit race from 2025. And we're taking off now, and I'm going to let you guys know, like, they kind of shot off right out of the gate. I don't remember which team was. This was over a year ago. This is older footage. As you see, I don't have my computer data on the screen. So you're gonna have to just kind of take my word for it, or Strava's word. You can see the lap speeds, you can see the watts on Strava on my ride, you can see the final on it. We averaged 28.6 miles per hour for this race. I averaged about 274 watts for the 40 minutes. And the reason why I'm posting this particular video, because I did a lot of races last year where I have a backlog of it, is one, the way that these guys take off right from the beginning. This is a little bit more of what you see at the bigger events. Now, this one being in February, right around Valentine's Day. This draws a lot of attention, especially from out west. Beautiful weather, mid 70s, almost 80 degrees. Partly cloudy to sunny almost every day, every year. It's Phoenix. It's very predictable. And this goes through downtown Phoenix. This is a nice figure 8 pattern. Swooping turns, wide lanes. And like I said, they take off here. From what I understand, the first 2 laps, somebody held off the front about 400 watts or more. This brought the average speed right out of the gate. And the reason why I want to show you this and why we show the first 2 laps here is because when I go out of town, I'm a little bit more concerned with an accident. I'm not really trying to play hero out there when I don't have a team. You have a bigger peloton like this, there are 60 plus guys. There were 60 plus guys at the start of the weekend. I think there might have only been 60 for the crit. I'm not 100% sure on this one. And I just kind of draft the back. For me, Arizona in February is just kind of to kick off my season with a vacation, but make sure that the legs are working. I have no real intention on being competitive in these races. At the same time, I am competitive, so I love to compete. I love to be there. I really like to challenge myself. I really like to challenge others. I'll be the first one to admit, winning isn't super important to me. I would much rather ride for a teammate than for myself. And I don't really lose sleep over not winning. I lose sleep over wrong strategies. I lose sleep over, maybe not performing to my own standards. But the win or loss thing, I enjoy a win, but I also enjoy a learning experience. And as you can see, the palm trees in the downtown area here, I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying the weather. I'm from Ohio, and so my strategy for something like this is just kind of hang out in the back. And I'll tell you that the back can be a very tough place in a big peloton because there's a big accordion effect. The surging in the front reverberates through the entire peloton until it gets to the back, and your surging is much worse. They could be a smooth 400 watts on the front, and in the back you might be averaging 300 because you're in the draft, but it's not a smooth 300. It's 100 or 550. It like really accordions. It's really almost like a slinky going down the stairs. And but that's where I feel like it's safe. You notice that I don't ride directly behind riders. Even in these big swooping turns, I'm grabbing a little bit of brake, and there's no reason to. I also don't like taking the turns with other riders next to me until I get in the flow of the race and I kind of trust them. And this is the perfect video for me to explain this stuff, because this was the race that I saw the most crashes. And that's why I'm posting this one, because this shows what the back of a peloton's like. If you're somebody who doesn't think you can come to a race, anybody can try to hang on to the back. And this is a category 3. This is just Cat 3. There's no Cat 4. There's no Cat 2. This is not a mixed field. Straight Cat 3, West Coast, strong riders. And if you're somebody new, you can draft the back of a Cat 5 field, even a 4 or 5 field. You could do what I'm doing here. And I'm going to kind of explain how it's done, because the riders in front of you will fall off at some point in time. Those 2 laps are over, so we're going to kind of cut ahead here. that was I already watched this video. And here we are. So I cut ahead here after the 2 laps, and you know, it was just kind of more of the same, just a little bit of a yo-yo in the back and the front there. And I would like to show you guys, you know, crash number 1 here of the 3. And you know, it kind of plays to the effect where being in the back can be safe if you have space, because you can get around the crashes and maybe you're not involved in a crash. Like mid peloton normally is about where the crashes happen. Sometimes they're in the front if somebody jumps out of saddle. Sometimes they're in the back because somebody in the back is just nervous and doesn't take the turn or grabs too much brake. You know, your better riders are typically going to be in the front, but the aggression can cause a crash. Your less seasoned riders are going to be in the rear, and you know, sometimes they crash, but the rest of the crashes are all in the middle. And I kind of wanted to talk about this first crash first, because it does happen about in the middle, and it happens almost right in front of me. I almost get hit by the dude's bike. You'll see it in the front and rear of my cameras. I did talk to the dude the week after at the Tucson Bicycle Classic. Super nice guy. I'm going to send him this footage. I did send him footage of the crash back when it happened. He was a super good sport about it. He was okay. He did continue to race. You know, I love to see that. I'm never rooting for anybody to get hurt. I'm never rooting for anybody to get taken from a race. But, you know, crashing is a part of racing, and this is one of those things where, you know, if I'm not explaining it, who is? So I'm hoping that this helps benefit somebody. Now, you see there's riders in front of me, there's riders behind me. And then this guy goes down, bike almost hits me. I get around him, thankfully. What that does is it causes a hole in the peloton. Now, this one was only slight, but again, with the accordion or slinky effect, whatever you want to call it, it causes a reverberating effect coming back. So the first couple guys had to surge a little bit to get back in their spot. The guys behind them had to surge even more. The guys behind them had to surge even more, to the point where I have to surge. And you see that the riders behind me are, you know, back a good ways, and you see that there's gaps opening up in front of me now too. Somebody has to close these gaps. And this happens any crash. And this is kind of why they do a free lap. Some guys will see a crash, hit their brakes, go back to the scorer's table, get their free lap, even though they weren't involved in the crash. I'll never do that. I'm going to keep racing. The guy that crashed or went down, or anybody that was involved in the crash or had to slam their brakes for the crash, rightfully so, goes to the start finish line, gets their free lap, gets back on. And if that guy was able to rejoin this race, if you know his bike was okay, that's what he would have done. We were just past the start finish line. He would have gotten back right in as soon as we came back around. Now, what I'm doing right now is I'm closing gaps. You know, this was probably one of my last races in Cat 3. Believe me or don't, whatever, on whether or not I could have just, you know, been up in the front of this race, or I could have won it, you know, like, you know, whatever you want to think about my riding skills or how I got to Cat 1, that's fine with me. But for video purposes, for anybody who's trying to learn this stuff, you know, I do want to throw out there, I am strong enough to close these gaps, even if I was working hard this race. And, you know, the times you're not strong enough to close these gaps, you just get dropped. So, as you see, the riders behind me, they did get dropped very temporarily. Some of them make it back, some of them don't. And that's what happens when somebody crashes. So if you are racing the back of a race, you are just trying to hang on for dear life, you just wanted to show up and see what a race was like, the back is probably about where you should be until you get your race bearings in. You race off the front, you're probably going to get caught, you're probably going to get dropped. I watch it happen all the time with new riders. I group ride with all sorts of people. They'll show up for their first race, their second race, and they're just like, I ride with you guys. You guys are all racers, so I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go off the front. 20 seconds later, they're caught. A mile into the race, they're dropped. 40 miles later, they're still riding by themselves. But in the back, don't try to do too much work. Even if it's easy, stay back there, because you're going to need it to close these holes, close these gaps. Sometimes gaps open up normally or naturally, which, you know, sometimes it's caused by teams too, because they still want the peloton to work. On a flowing course like this, I want to say we had 2 feet of climbing a lap. A lap was 1 mile. This was a flat race. And it's just really hard to drop somebody in a flat race. Having said that, there were, you know, 7 turns. We did make a figure 8, you know, so there are places to punch it out of the corners. 60 people, somebody's closing gaps, you know, people are closing gaps, and it's not always going to have to be you. Unless, of course, the thing happens right in front of you, which as we push through the video, you're going to see another crash and a much worse one, a pile up in one spot, and a couple other riders go down. And you see, I still have riders in front of me. You see that the riders behind me are surging back and forth. I'm going to tell you that the riders even directly in front of me in this race and the riders behind me are also kind of implementing the same strategy I am. And it's hard to be back there and do your own work. Every time you see these like 10, 20 foot, 3-4 bike length gaps, these guys are doing their own work and they're doing their own surges. They're giving themselves their own body shots. Now I jumped ahead a little bit here in the video, cut off a lot of, as you notice, it's the same thing. Now if you're enjoying watching this, please feel free, watch as many times as you want. The scenery is great. Watching bike racing, love it. Going through the palm trees, it really is cool with this many riders at this speed. At any given time, we're going a little bit over 30 mile an hour. And, it's cool to watch. It's cool to be there. As you notice, there's nobody behind me again in the camera shot. And that's where, 16 riders from this peloton don't make it to the finish line. And it's not just the crashing. It's just the constant surge of the back, and the guys that are in the back kind of already knew that that's where they should be. I said this in a previous video before that, when you have a big peloton, you can count on the front 20% to be competitive in the race or helping the guy that's supposed to be winning the race. You can count on the middle being there, hoping for the best, and the back is there just happy to be there. This is a great example of that. I would say that the back 20% of this race was people just happy to be there, myself included. Again, I never went to Valley of the Sun or Tucson Bicycle Classic hoping to make something crazy happen. Individual rider against 20 teams or so, strong riders, people that know these courses. This to me was, 70 degrees warmer than home, sunny. Got a tan, got to see some green leaves on trees. Like this is cool for me. This is a race where I get to give you the perspective of being on the back 20%. Most of my content will be geared towards show up for races, show up for group rides. So, it's hard to preach that, but also show you winning, showing me winning races, getting on the podium. Like, hey, if you just show up, you'll be like, no, let me show you what it actually looks like to be the guy who showed up and is happy to be there. Like I said at the beginning, this is the point of me posting this video is I really want to give my audience, the people that like watching this stuff, the hey, I'm here to draft the Peloton experience. And like I said before, the crashes are good in this video. I do have other videos where I did just draft the back and maybe worked my way up and got a decent finish. But this one really gives you everything because you have 3 riders going through a turn side by side. You're going across brick surfaces. We're doing 25 mile an hour through these turns. And I'm in the back. You look at my camera. This doesn't look like my camera from the other races. There's nobody back there. And as the race progresses, I do start chipping away at riders because I want to get a little bit further up before they get dropped. I notice body mannerisms. I notice gaps forming. I hear breathing. And I'm not insulting any of these guys. If you are on this video and you're watching this, you were strong that day. You were strong all weekend. This was the last race of the weekend. You probably went to Tucson Bicycle Classic and rode strong there too. I'm not insulting you by any stretch of the imagination. I just was the beneficiary of your draft there for a little longer than, whatever. And I decided at some point in time that you weren't going to keep in and I am. So I went around. That's happened to me a million times. Again, no knocks on anybody that happens to be in this video. Just to have been at this race, 1, you showed up, and that's my goal, is to get people to show up. 2, you rode super strong for super long, but I can tell you that a couple of these riders in front of me, aren't going to make every surge, and they're not going to make, every attack. And at some point in time, I do have to go around them, or else I have to close a bigger gap. And the bigger gap you have to close towards the end of the race, the less likely you are to make a push at the end of the race. And that's also great advice for somebody who's never raced before, is if the back is too easy the whole time, that's perfect. I have a friend named John who told me for a long time, the goal of racing is almost the same goal as golf. You want your watts to be as low as possible. You don't want to break your power records at races. And I'll tell you, once you start racing in Cat 1, you start racing against the pros, almost every race is going to break your power numbers unless you do some fantastic training rides, unless you're killing it on the trainer. You're going to break power records pretty often in those races because there's a different level of motivation that comes with racing. But, you know, category 3, category 4, category 5, your goal is to do those strong rides. Your goal is to train hard and then come to these races and conserve. And see, this is where I'm talking about, like, this is a big gap, and I should have, you know, made my way around this rider sooner. And he's not done yet. A lot of these guys, as I go by him, aren't done yet. They get a little bit of my draft as I go by and hang on just a little bit longer. But, you know, they said they don't all make it. And that's the point of racing. I made that point in several other videos, is that the goal is, you know, group rides, the goal is to keep everybody together, to be strong for everybody. The goal in racing is to be strong for you, be strong for your team, drop everybody else. I'm in that perfect position for this whole race. My cameras are in this perfect position to show you how to be the very, very last guy that isn't dropped. Because that's everybody's goal. It's hard to talk somebody into showing up for a race and tell them, well, you're probably going to get dropped. You're probably going to get lapped. You're probably going to get pulled. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody's going to come, you know? So let's learn how to be the last guy that holds on. That's at least encouraging enough to get somebody to show up for the first time. And, you know, that's my out-of-town strategy. You know, I've said drop in the comments a few times, you got a race in your town and you think it's worth me coming to. You want somebody from Ohio to put it on YouTube. Yeah, I'll come. Give me a reason. Tell me why. This is honestly probably what I'll do, because you know, as a Cat 1 now, you know, I don't know the course. I'm not going to know the town. And, you know, to show up for a Cat 1 race, especially because a lot of Cat 1 races include the pros, and pros do show up to them depending on which one you're talking about. I'll probably just be surviving on the end anyways. And, you know, I'll probably double up that day to make it worth traveling. I'll probably also do the Masters class. And the Masters, depending on the course, is whether or not I throw it out on the line, or if I you're gonna save it for the 1, 2, 3 race. Here we go. Here's another crash. This is that one's bad, and I don't know I didn't hear anything bad from, you know, anybody that the riders were hurt or hospitalized or anything. Nobody looked like they're bleeding out when we went past. They weren't there again on the next lap. But this is getting towards the end of the race, and this is, you know, for me, I'm normally trying to move up in this situation, and I'm going to tell you, I know my data isn't on this screen, but I averaged 274 for the race. I was probably around 250 when we went around that crash. I gained a lot on my average because we were chasing. That didn't cause like a ripple or a hole and a surge. That caused a break, and it broke the peloton about in half. And, you know, this section was headwind, so it's like, there's probably no wind. Let me just call it no wind. Either way, that section was fast, and that section was tough to draft. Now, the rest of this was pretty draftable, and I'm staying on this guy's wheel the best I can, hoping that the crowd all comes back together. But I'm not going to say I was cooked from, you know, being part of this chase back. The guys in the front, they didn't know that happened. And for us to chase for half a lap like we just did at that speed we just did was great. But it only worked. We only got back up to this front group because they're sitting up. They didn't know that there was a crash. That was just in their progression of cat and mouse. They don't stay in cat very long. They're going to chase the mouse here soon. And, you know, you come out of an effort like that to get back in, and then these guys take off, and you never really do catch your breath. Again, I would have wished I had my screen recorded computer on this. I would have loved that. I would have loved to have showed you guys the watts it was taking to stay in here at the end of the race like this. Unfortunately, I don't. Going forward, unless, you know, my computer fails. This is my friend from Team over here on the left. It was nice for other Ohioans to be there. So unless my data doesn't record for some reason, which it's already messed up a few times, and that's why I haven't posted some races I've already done. Again, we're still in chase mode here. You see everybody's kind of doing their own work right now, and we're not in a straight line. We're not in a peloton. We're just kind of like a blurry mob. Because the front took off again. And and it's race time. You know, we're down to, let me see, 3 laps to go at this point. So a crash with 4 to go can really change the outcome of a race. Those guys in the front will stay in the front, and the guys in the back will probably stay in the back. I'm trying to find a line. I'm trying to find where I want to come up the peloton, but so is everybody else. And that everybody else, the guys that are making it to the front are creating like this kind of washing cycle where we're just gaining more speed. We're probably doing 35 mile an hour right now at this point. And we're doing 35 into a tight 90. So we all do have to try to take this turn safely. And the guys that are already out of the turn are out of the turn and they're going. So we're getting kind of back to the point where, you know, I'm like, all right, well, this is also still how you draft the back of a peloton. But this is not where I want to be with 3 to go. This isn't where I want to be with 2 to go. So I am going to make a push here to try to get up towards the front. I'm hoping for, you know, like kind of a recirculation of the peloton where the teams are trying to get to the front. You see guys taking off to the left. If I had the legs, I'd have done it too. I didn't. You know, again, like I said, I wasn't insulting anybody that got dropped. I wasn't, you know, trying to insult anybody I was drafting and had to go around. I'm also cooked. And, you know, I'm going to say the same thing I did for the Road Apple Roubaix. If I could have, I would have, you know. And I didn't. Being in the back for the whole race was probably just a little too much. Being in the middle is the easiest spot, but it's also the most technical spot. You're going to be 5 riders wide on turns. You're going to be bumping elbows, and you know it's just not where I want to be. You don't want to end up in a position where you are hospitalized, you know, 2,500 miles from home. So I didn't want to be there, but I will risk it for two to go. You know, I'll try to make my move. I'll try to get up. In a group this big, though, it's a big distance to cover at a high rate of speed. So it's just, I'm going to be honest with you, it's just not easy. So if you're watching this video trying to figure out how do I win races, this isn't the video. If you're trying to figure out how you want to strategize, you know, draft in the back of a peloton and learn how to race, this is the video. I'd say don't try to make this move that I'm about to try to make. But especially don't make it early in a race. If you can make it at the end, make it at the end. But, you know, I don't recommend it if you're just learning. It doesn't work out for me. I gave myself a little bit of effort here, and I'm now up in the front third where I want to be. And I just slowly in these turns get passed by everybody. And the biggest reason is I wasn't taking these turns with these guys the whole race. So as you see, I'm on the outside and I'm letting guys go by me. I'm on the outside letting guys go by me. And in reality, I'm covering more distance because I'm on the outside. I'm putting in more watts because I'm not in anybody's draft. And these aren't how you win races. These aren't how you stay in the front. And that's why this video is about how to go from A to B with the peloton in a race and enjoy yourself. And that's what I did. We're on 1 to go, and I can tell you I enjoyed myself. I can tell you I want to do this race every year, and I don't care if I come in 20th or 50th every year. I would do this race every year. And you know, like this is one of those things. Do your local races. Take some of these tips I'm providing, and you know, then start showing up for these cool things. You know, this is a great family vacation. This is a great personal vacation. It's a great reason to go out and see things that you wouldn't have otherwise seen. I would never be in downtown Phoenix if I wasn't sitting here at 29 mile an hour on a bicycle. You know, like I have no point, no reason to ever go to downtown Phoenix, and this was cool. You know. And so we're coming up on 1 to go, and I should talk about the race just a little bit more. Like I said, I'm probably towards the rear again, but the size has dwindled. If you're counting riders in front of me, I probably only have like 30 riders in front of me and maybe 5 behind. So, you know, we've dropped 20 plus guys at this point. And you don't want to be, if you're paying attention to any of this, you don't want to be one of those 20 guys. And that comes from, you know, reading cues. Don't get behind somebody while they're getting dropped. Make sure you get around them. Watch for gaps, watch for surges, you know, try to stay smooth, try to stay on somebody's wheel. These things are really important. Try to mimic the guy in front of you in the turns if you're unsure. Try not to take the turns next to somebody if you can avoid it. Now we got 1 more turn to go, and that's where crash 3 happens. And this happens in sprints more often than you think. You watch to the left side of the screen, those guys just kind of go together into the grass. for me, I'm gonna hit the sprint. I'm gonna get around as many rides as I can, place the best I can. The guy came in like 21st out of 60 something. It's on Strava. For the weekend in the GQ, I came in 15th out of the 60 riders. It either started or finished. I don't remember. I want to say it was like 70 something that started the weekend, and I was pretty happy with that. But at the same time, I was racing to just race, just to get the blood flowing again. So that was Valley of the Sun Crit Race Cat 3. That's the third and final event of the weekend getaway there. And I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope it was worth watching. I hope you learned something. And until the next one.